Hello, it's 8 o'clock GMT, 9 o'clock Central European Time. It is time for ESC Fan TV. Yes, coming live to you on YouTube with our latest thoughts and reviews on all things Eurovision. Joining me, as always, I've got my co-host, Elliot. Good evening, Elliot.
Evening, one and all. I'm not going to lie, I am completely exhausted from a day of dancing, hence why I have the gin, but I'm here regardless, and let's see how this goes. If you just hear a bang and I vanish your screen, just carry on without me.
I like the way you're using the gin as an excuse, as if you don't always drink. I mean, quite frankly, I'm seeing a little irony here, but you know.
I mean, you're making it sound like I have a problem. I don't. It's just not. To get through these shows, I need alcohol.
Speaking of other people that need alcohol to get through these shows, joining us after a little gap, it's Stu. Hey, Stu.
Hey, how you doing? It's been a while. I know you've all missed me terribly, so I promised I would come back. Yes, you have, Donna, don't lie. And I thought I would come back and surprise you all with an impromptu Loreen-esque performance this evening. That's right, I have the leotard ready, Tom.
Oh dear. A cross between Loreen, Dolly Style and Rayleigh. I can only dread to think what might actually happen. Joining us, as always, we've got the lovely Phil and Michelle.
Hello. I swear to God, I will never do another one of these shows if Stu puts on that leotard.
Yeah, we're also knackered because we watched bloody San Marino.
I mean, I also for one can't do this show without a gin in me either.
Well, I'm getting a feeling we're a bunch of alcoholics. Donna, good evening.
Good evening, everyone. I'm not quite the alcoholic today. I'm going for the softy drink today. But yeah, I sat through all of San Marino as well. Oh my. But we're not talking about that today, so that's great.
No, we're not. But I thought we were supposed to be throwing Elliot in a darkened room to listen to all 106 entries. Then he could just tell us what ones we were supposed to listen to.
Well, we let him out to do dancing, so it didn't quite work.
Oh, that's true. There's a flaw in that plan somewhere. And also joining us from Portugal, we've got the lovely David. Good evening, David.
Good evening. Thank God I didn't watch a lot of San Marino, so I'm kind of soberish. But even still, because it was 3 hours. Come on.
Yeah, but you got to watch the first semi-final of Festival de Canção instead. So, guys, tonight we are going to be looking at Germany. Unser for Liverpool is on Friday night. We're going to be previewing that. We're going to be doing a little rundown on Melfest semi-final 4, which I know everyone's got some lovely opinions about. We're also going to be doing a preview of Iceland's final, Söngvakeppnin, which is also next weekend as well. Don't forget to comment in the chat room. We've let Stuart loose on the chat room this week. We thought since we've wheeled him out, we'd give him a bit of extra social interaction. The guy needs to be socialized a little bit more. So if you could just direct all comments to Stuart, that would be fantastic. And comment, like, subscribe. Okay, we are doing this just because we love Eurovision and we love talking about Eurovision. And, the more of us that are talking about Eurovision can join in, even if you didn't like Loreen's performance last night. Now, I know, controversial, but normally at this point I would hand over to Elliot. But since Elliot decided to dance his Sunday away, I'm going to start off this week. And we're going straight into Germany. Yes, they have 9 songs competing for the honour of representing Germany in Liverpool. Now, let's face it, Germany, when it comes to Eurovision, haven't had the best track record lately. It's not to say they haven't won. I mean, let's face it, they were the first Big Five country to win during the time of the Big Five. Lena obviously winning with Satellite in 2010. But the record over the past few years has been a little bit off. And we're going to see if there is a winner amongst all of this. And we'll start off with the 2 songs that are in German. Lied mit gutem Text, which means song with good lyrics, which was voted in via TikTok. And Alle Frauen in mir sind müde. All the women in me are tired. And you know what? Let's go straight to Stu. Is Germany going to send a song in German this year?
Well, thank you for coming back to me first. I really appreciate that. I'm not going to talk about Frida Fall because Frida Gold even because I just find it weird. And anything that has interpretive dance in the music video is an absolute turn on for me. But can we talk about this man who won the TikTok vote for Germany? It is Ika Huftgold with the song Lied mit gutem Text, which translates as song with good lyrics. We'll have to take his word for it. It's going to be a very interesting show. And I have to say, this is the kind of song that the Germans love to send. You know, they have form. Over the years, we've had wonderful national finals in Germany, and we've always seen the wrong song find its way to Eurovision. And I'm predicting another one this year. A few of my German friends are absolutely scared stiff that this might be their entry in Eurovision this year. And I have to say, there are some really, really good entries in the German national final. But it seems to me that we might be heading for this little number in Liverpool in just a few months' time. And the question is, are the Eurovision world ready for it? Because this is something else. And I can't wait to see how it's going to be performed live on stage, Tom.
I think it'll be interesting. I mean, two people I know that love an absolute off-the-wall entry is Phil and Michelle. I mean, this surely must be in your top five.
You know what?
What is it the icky one?
Yeah,
No,
I'm going to surprise
no.
you a bit. I think we
No.
both are because we like a bonkers song.
Yeah,
well, I like a bonkers song.
The first thing I wrote was, "This is too stupid even for me."
Yeah, I think the problem is it's a song that's trying to be a bonkers song. It's not something that's got a message that's fun. It's trying to be a bit crazy and a bit wacky, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah, I will read you word for word from my trusted notepad. What the fuck is this? It's too stupid even for me. Back to the 90s. What's going on? I'm almost at the end of my tether. Not even good enough for a joke act.
Yeah, and Frida, I don't know. It was all right. It was a bit dreamy. Lots of lovely interpretive dancing for Michelle, because we know she likes an interpretive dance. But no, sorry, not my sort of
I'll
thing.
be honest. I'm looking forward to quoting Michelle's words back at her when they do select "Lied mit gutem Text" in the song reviews that we do.
I think tonight I'm just going to read, because normally I had lib, but I'm not, because I put just no. It's all arty-farty on the video. It's all sorts of no. Interpretive dance, no.
Oh, I can't help but feel you're missing a trick here.
No,
But
no. I would just like to point out, who was that bloke who I hated a few years ago?
Oh, that one.
No, the bloke with
Gendrick.
When everyone's going, oh no, and I was saying, what a pile of shit.
I think the phrase was.
This is the worst thing ever.
I think
No, don't say it again, because people will remember. I was right. Everyone's going, no. When Donna was with me, when this scored nothing, didn't it, Donna? Do you remember? And I stood up and I was going, yes, because I was right. So just remember, I've got a track record of being right with Germany.
This is true. This is true. We'll come back to you for your views on some of the other songs. Let's bounce across to Donna. Donna, let's push the German songs aside. There's a lot of diversity, I think, in the German entries this year. Do you reckon that's going to stand them in good stead when they come to vote on it on Friday?
It might make it a bit harder, in a sense. I do like a little bit of something, a bit of something for everybody. But sometimes if it's a very middling, a certain standard, they're all of a certain standard, then it makes it very difficult to choose, because it's hard to pit one thing of one genre against something else that's of a totally different genre. And I think that's the way we always struggle anyway in Eurovision as a whole. How do you put a ballad against a banger? And it's always been one of those never-ending things that we'll never agree on. But there are some absolutely great songs in here, not necessarily the two we've just covered.
What are your favourites?
It might split a few down the middle. I'm not sure.
What are your favourites? What would you, out of this lot, what would you pick out?
Oh gosh. Well, I think Blood and Glitter, which we'll get onto, I adore. I really do adore this one. Those that know I like Achille Laura and a few others like Hattie. This is going to be right up my street. Also, though, totally different feel to it. Patty Gurdy as well. I really like that one. It's a lovely song, and it's not just a use of a funny instrument, in a song, tick the bingo card for that one. But it is a bloody lovely song. I like that one.
Hey, and this is the nice thing. See, diversity in opinion. Speaking of diversity in opinion, David, what are your top 3 for Germany this year?
Yeah, Germany, I did listen all the songs, but for me, my top 3, I love Hold On by Will Church. I think it's very good ballad. I think he probably can stand out. I love kind of very acoustic feel. It's one of my favorites. Also, Patty Gurley, I listened to that song a lot of times. I watched the video a lot. She's very charismatic. It's very different. It's very interesting to see if this song gets through, because it's going to be a bold choice for Germany. But, Germany is very good in rock. Rammstein is a very big name if you follow European rock. So Blood and Glitter is also very good, good song. It's not that hard, so it's not going to push that hard, but I think it's all good also. I love Dare to Be Different. I don't know the artist's name, but also that song is really good. Has some very good pop elements to it. So I think this is going to be a good German national final. I think this can be very good. If they select the right song, I think they got it.
Interesting. Steve?
Yeah, I just want to talk about this guy. I think this song from Will Church, Hold On, is one of the best songs of this contest. I really, really like it. It's really well written. I love a ballad anyway, but Gustav's in the chat. He'll probably back me up and say this is a really beautifully written ballad. Great vocal. If Germany were to send one of the better songs in terms of how it's been written, then this would be right up there, in my opinion. But I do also want to call out this song by Trong, which is a song called Dare to Be Different. And if you haven't seen the video to this song yet, you must go and have a little look, because all I can say is this is how I kind of visualize Elliot spending his weekend. These dance moves are something else. It's kind of how I see you, Elliot, all that kind of smooth business going on. Go and have a look. It's fantastic. Definitely.
It's very 80s themed, isn't it? Dare
It's
to be
very
different.
80s. Very Elliot 80s. I love it.
The thing sorry.
Oh, no, Phil.
The thing I thought about Dare to Be Different is it sounds like every other Eurovision song about being different, which is sort of quite ironic in a way. It's just a bit off-the-shelf song about being different. And it's not like we haven't had them before.
I sort of quite liked it. Whereas Will Church, Stu, you're absolutely deluded. It was dull. Oh, wait, what was it? Dull. It built to nothing. It was dull. It's like German humour. Dull.
Ooh, that's harsh.
Dull.
That is harsh.
To be fair, in Michelle's defence, I did write one word down for Will Church's entry, and that was just slow. So I think, kind of fitting the vibe there. Now, Elliot, I mean, it's wrong to talk to you about a child of the 80s as you're 30 this week, but let's just... I thought I had to throw it in very casually somehow. But, I mean, could Dare to Be Different do the different thing and actually win this?
No, realistically. The song isn't bad, and it's been co-written by Elsie Bay, so that's quite interesting. But it's opening the national final, so it's a good show opener, but nothing else. And we get that a lot, especially in straight finals. It's a good show opener. It's not going to do anything. Unlike, for example, Alessandra, which opened her semi-final, so it's a good show opener, but there was potential in the final, so that's when it closed. What I find interesting is that we talked about the two German songs earlier. They've been sandwiched between, in the running order, the two main contenders, which is Blood and Glitter and Melodies of Hope. I think that's really interesting. They've put that right at the end. And Melody's Hope is my winner. I heard it a few months ago when she submitted it via the TikTok application, and I thought, this is brilliant. Yeah, okay, it's just like it is a kitsch instrument, but it's done in a really clever way, and she can sing phenomenally. She's done some amazing covers of like Bad Habits and Running Up the Hill. So this girl can sing, and the song, people are saying it's dated in the Eurovision sense, but especially with what's going on in the world and people's struggles at the minute, having a song called Melodies of Hope with really uplifting melody and bit of a banging track as well is good. So she can get the staging right. I do think this is the song that could go. I'm not putting my hopes on it because I don't trust Germany in national finals. We saw Sisters when they had an amazing semi-selection and picked that. I mean, but the one people aren't talking about much is, and it's the second in the fan vote, is Renee Miller with Concrete Heart. Now, I don't get the love in this. It's a very solid ballad, which I think is why Will Church is effectively dead and gone, because I have to agree with Tom and Michelle. Like, it's there, it's nice, I forget it the second it ends, sort of thing. Like, it's literally just a place setter for 3 minutes and then it moves on. But Renee Miller, like, it's interesting, but at the same time, like we're saying about Dare to Be Different being this generic song, I feel like Concrete Heart is the same. So I think some fans will be disappointed next week because again, I don't see that winning. I think it is between, Blood and Glitter and Melodies of Hope. I think they are the top two. Even though I do think a song I was is Once Upon a Dream with Anissa Russo, brilliant singer. I'm just not sure if the song has got enough punch to win, but she as a singer is fantastic. It's a very interesting song, but there's something when I first heard it, it's like, I like this, but I'm not ready to say love it and this can definitely win sort of thing. But it is a diverse selection. It'll be interesting, and Germany are always very interesting in how they vote. So it's either going to end very well or we'll have a meltdown on social media about it. Who knows?
I think it's interesting. I think there's a couple of things to take away from that. Is the fact that Concrete Heart, I mean, it's third on my list. I think I quite like Concrete Heart. Michelle's going to lose her shit in a minute. It's great. I'm going to go to her in a minute. But also, if we suggest potentially that the two songs in German are the weakest there, which I know is something that Ian's mentioned in the chat, then in actual fact, to have Melodies of Hope, then the two kind of weaker songs there, and then Blood and Glitter to close, could mean it's a bit of a loaded circus. Me personally, obviously, always for the left field, I'm going for the one song that none of you have mentioned yet whatsoever, and that's Lonely Spring singing Missed It, which has the great lyric, I've been awake for 3 days and I don't give a fuck. I just think that's just brilliant. It makes me laugh every time, and it's got a really good hook to it. Phil and Michelle, I'm going to go to you because I want to go to you with this. What are your impressions of Misfit, and also, what do you reckon? Blood and Glitter for the crown?
Right. Lonely Spring Misfit for a start. Right. Someone tell Germany what year it is. The 2000s have come and gone. I don't know if they missed it or what's going on, but it's a rip-off of every American early 2000s band ever. There's nothing original about this.
And you can't be effing and jeffing at Eurovision either.
Oh, well, you can sort that out, but it was just so dated, it was obscene.
Yeah. Patty Gurdy, it's nice to see someone playing the hurdy-gurdy.
Patty Gurdy plays the hurdy-gurdy for Germany.
Yeah. Which I don't know if Adrian had invented it, but that's the instrument. It's a hurdy-gurdy.
You should have seen Phil's face today when he said, that's a hurdy-gurdy.
It's a hurdy-gurdy, yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I love old men.
Yeah, but yeah, Germany, send blood and glitter, send blood and glitter.
Well, yeah, I'm not finished. I haven't finished.
Oh, right, go on,
right,
then.
Renee Miller, Concrete Heart. I put Moody Bloke, piano, interpretive dance. It's the holy trinity. No! The Renee Miller one. Yeah, okay. Moody Bloke, piano, interpretive dance. I can read. No. It's wrong on all levels. No Moody Bloke, no piano, no interpretive dance. Apart from that, it was brilliant.
Thanks, Michelle.
The Annika Russo one, the picture that you showed before, lay on the floor and all that and everything. Does anybody else not think that that's Kylie Minogue with the bad seeds? Do you remember when she did that song off of the ages ago? One for the Youth. That is just an absolute blatant rip-off. The whole video is just a rip-off of Kylie and Nick Cave.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we all know who's for the win.
Blood
Phil,
and
come on,
glitter, blood and glitter, send blood and glitter.
I
blood and glitter.
sent blood and glitter to my daughter-in-law today, who's not a massive ESC person, and she just texts back, "Isn't that your mantra?"
Yeah, it's Michelle's theme song. That,
Yeah,
surely.
yeah. So, obvs, I love it to bits. It's the best thing ever in the world.
Hey. I know Elliot's desperate to jump in on Misfit as well.
Yeah, me think Michelle can't extend my point. Like, it's such American old, like early 20s rock sort of thing, like All American Rejects and that sort of stuff, like which I grew up with. So I kind of like it, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, the boat on this came and left 15 years ago. So it's good for like people my age and the nostalgia factor of it all. But yeah, it's a bit like Germany, you always do seem like a bit behind the trend. This kind of like reinforces the fact you're a bit behind the trend.
But it's not the only country to have had a song like that in its national selection, is it?
No,
I mean,
but
arguably, the Melfest Director Final song last night had a hint.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah,
naughty
I
rock
guess
to it.
There's always, yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's definitely an element of commercial rock, which is what I likened the song in Melfest to, which I've also mentioned about Måneskin and Blind Channel. They all had an element of commercial rock. I think this is just too placid. It's not going out enough to be commercial rock. It's trying to be a bit twee and a bit poppy as well. So, yeah. But like I said, if we're going back to the running order quickly as well, the one going before Patty is Will. So again, Will is just going to be this place setter for this bombastic Celtic beat to come in. And as you're saying about the running order plays crucially, it's kind of fallen into her hands very nicely. And I've checked, she's not Irish or any descendancy of Irish, even though her name is Patty. She's got bright ginger hair and she plays Celtic music. I have checked. But she has played in festivals in Ireland and Scotland.
Then, but I don't think it's worth making it. I'm just going to go.
She's lived in Ireland, but that's it.
Stu wanted to jump in.
Yeah, I was just picking up on the points you guys were making about 2000s rock in Germany. I want to cast your minds back to Germany's selection last year, and the two songs which finished top two. The winner in Germany was Malik Harris with Rock Stars, which absolutely had a hint of that American kind of rock vibe to. But don't forget what came second, that won the jury vote by some distance, which was Malin Jonas with I Swear to God, which absolutely had that mid-2000s rock vibe. So don't discount this. I'm with you, Tom. I think I could see this winning. And actually, they were robbed last year, Malin Jonas. They were great fun and would have been a fantastic option for Germany. And as for Passo Cake, I have no comment.
I mean, potentially what we could see, you know, and I know Little John's mentioned the 2015 debacle. We could see a song win and then go, do you know what, guys, that's not for us. We'll give it to Anna Sophie instead, which is...
That would just cap off this absolutely batshit year, wouldn't it? Just someone going, nah, I'm good. That's all that's missing.
I mean, there's enough national finals around the corner for it to happen. Donna, wrap this up for us.
Oh, God. Where do you want me to start? Oh, man. Yeah, it's going to be a good one. I mean, when I first heard the selections of this, I thought, oh, I quite like that. I quite like that. I quite like that. Hey, this is looking like it could be good. Yeah, I quite like that. Oh, I quite like that. So that's kind of how it went when I first heard a couple of the clips. So I knew this would be one I wanted to watch at least. And there's some really good songs that I think will get people's attention here. And for the first time in a long time, I've actually felt that about Germany, because normally they sort of sit in the background for me and I'm just like, oh no, they're going to send something stupid again or something that's really dull and bland and won't even dent the top 10. But yeah, there's a little bit here where I think that people have gone, hang on a minute, let's try and send something that's a bit current. Well, not in the case of Wheatus, Lonely Spring. Yeah, that was my first thought, Wheatus.
It was mine too, to be fair. Yeah. But then I liked Wheatus, so you know.
Yeah, it was good when it came out.
Are you saying my music taste's dated? Are you saying I live in the past?
we're in our 40s talking about Wheatus. I would say that's a fairly accurate description.
I'm 39 for 6 months.
For a couple of months, yeah.
Yeah.
We find that Jordan in his 50s.
But no, I think they're going to have a good competition. They are in danger of sending something absolutely batshit bonkers. And frankly, at the moment, we've already got quite a lot of that. We don't really need any more. And I think somebody had already mentioned that in the chat, and I kind of agree with them. But at the same time, Blood and Glitter is also on that kind of batshit bonkers. But I kind of like that one. So, hey,
So
I'm
what
just
we're saying
making
is
it
there's good batshit bonkers and there's bad batshit bonkers.
Yes, there's a certain line that should be like never crossed, and I think this guy in gold with the awful wig, etc. Yeah, not good, not good at
Right.
all.
Guys, I'm going to ask you to give me one song, your one German winner, to be held against you forever and a day, or maybe just next week. Right, Elliot, the one song you'd like to see to win in Germany is
Melodies of Hope.
Melodies of Hope. Stu.
Icky, because there's always one country that needs to finish bottom.
Oh, Jesus. He's back, isn't he? Gee. To think we said we'd missed you. David.
Yeah, I'm very divided between Melodies of Hope and Blood and Glitter, but also, Germany has a very good selection this year. Blood and Glitter reminds me of the Concrete Something Rose from 2017 or 16, whatever that song came out. But I think I will agree with Elliot, and I will defend Patty Gurley. And actually, she's close to Düsseldorf.
An agreement with Elliot. I've seen it all. Donna.
I think out of them all, I prefer Blood and Glitter.
Blood and Glitter and Phil and Michelle.
Patty Gurdy plays the hurdy-gurdy for Germany. No.
Blood and Glitter.
Yes, we want blood and we want glitter. I'm going to roll around in blood and glitter.
And do you know what? Regardless of whether you think I live in the past or not, I'm sticking with Misfit because I can. However, I'm looking in the chat room. Stu, give us an overview of the chat room's views on this.
It's quite mixed, actually. Blood and Glitter, Patty Gurdy a couple of times. Gustav is just making it up as he goes along, which is no surprise. And then somebody else said Blood and Glitter. There you go. There's a few really for Blood and Glitter. I think that seems to be the popular choice. No one's gone for Icky, which is the most obvious choice, of course.
That's because everyone's hoping it won't win. That's the obvious thing. Anyway, it looks like we are backing Blood and Glitter for the win, and you can catch Unser for Liverpool on Friday night via VPN, countries lifting off geo blocks. You'll find a link somewhere. I can't tell you where the links will be because they keep shifting them. Anyway, last night also saw Heat 4 of Melodifestivalen. Over to Elliot.
Thank you, Tom. Yes, we had the conclusion of Melodifestivalen semi-finals. We've now heard all 28 songs, and we now know 8 of the finalists and the 8 who are competing in next week's Andre Johnson to fill the final 4. And it's quite a stacked heat. We had LED walls, we had a ramp, we had Loreen coming out of a panini press at one point as well. It was very impressive. But all in all, they are the 7 songs. And like I said there, Loreen is back with her song Tattoo. She won the semi-final. Now let's just get it out of the way. There was obviously an issue where there was a protest that came on, and for the first time ever, a song had to be stopped and restarted due to a protest. Well done to Loreen for recovering and getting back and doing what she did. That is incredibly difficult. We've seen it before, but it's still not quite Suri just elbowing a bloke and grabbing the mic back and carrying on singing 2018. But like I said, there was a slight disruption, but she then went on to win the semi-final of the song Tattoo. Stuart, I'm going to come to you first because obviously this song has been hyped to high heaven since she was announced. Everyone is now saying this is the Eurovision winner. It's the odds on to win Sweden if they send it. Is Tattoo a Melodifestivalen winner and a Eurovision winner?
God, why are you guys coming to me first? Because No, I'm going to destroy this. No, I'm not really. Listen, I watched last night.
Because we've missed you.
Thanks very much. Seems like James has. Thank you very much, James. I'm the new Ginger Jesus, apparently, but I appreciate that. Anyway, back to the story. Yeah, you guys have a good bloody laugh over that one. But keep it coming, James. When are we hooking up? Are we meeting in Liverpool? You coming over, boy?
Circling back to Loreen before this becomes a show it shouldn't be.
I was desperately trying to avoid the conversation about that. No, I listened to Spotify this morning, and I wanted to listen to the songs because I've deliberately not heard any of the snippets of any Melodifestivalen entry this year. I wanted to do Eurovision differently, and I had a very different experience as a result. And I listened to all of the songs on Spotify for the first time today. And the first song that comes on is Loreen's Tattoo. And my reaction was, this is a really, really well-crafted song. It's outstanding. It's a beautifully written song. The lyrics are great, really, really well put together. And I thought, why did I not really enjoy this as much as I did on Spotify this morning? Other good streaming sites are available, of course. And I thought to myself, I think it's because there's so much going on. And Loreen is a phenomenal singer. I love her to death. I loved My Heart Is Refusing Me. It's, for me, one of her finest entries of the three. And for me, the problem was she starts off lying down. It's really hard to sing lying down, first off. You know, you have to be incredibly skilled to do it. And she is skilled, but it didn't really work for me. The song's fantastic. The lyrics are fantastic. The staging's fantastic. But because the way it's staged, it doesn't optimize the song as well as it should. That's the problem I have. Do I see it as a Melodifestivalen winner? Yes, it will win at a canter in 2 weeks' time. There's no doubt in my mind it's going to Eurovision. Will it win Eurovision? No, I don't think it will. I think it will come in top 5, but I just think it lacks something. I'm going to be completely honest, because she speaks perfect English. It's really difficult to understand what she's singing. And that's the truth. I know a lot of people get butthurt over that, but that's the God's honest truth. It's not great diction. And the reason it's not great diction is because of the way it's staged. No other reason. And if Sweden can have a look at that, they'll find a way to make it work. No doubt it can challenge to win Eurovision. But right now, there's a few flaws in the way it's staged. There you go. I think it's a great song. By the way, I do think there's 2 other songs that Sweden are going to overlook and then shouldn't. I think the song Air that won the Heat 3 last week is as good a song. It's incredibly well written. I think the Twins, I know they're from Norway, but it's really, really beautiful. And the rock song, which name has escaped me, 2 seconds, Smashed into Pieces, 6 Feet Under. I thought that was an incredibly well written song as well. Those 3 songs could go to Eurovision and they all do very, very well.
Thank you, Stuart. And let's going to throw up this comment from Lee here because it brings up a good point which I mentioned last night about the protest to help Loreen no end because let's face it, she would have made the semi-final and not directed the final. Now, I still think she would have made the final last night. However, I will say when a moment like that happens on stage, it's a talking point and it helps you. Suri, remember, jumped up to 4th in the odds the minute she got that on stage invasion. No one was talking about Storm until that, but everyone felt sorry for her and impressed the way she continued. When an incident like that happens, people talk about it and people feel sorry, or it's a story, so they vote for it. I know that upset people when I said that last night, but it is the truth. Like I said, she did an amazing job to recover and start again. But even the Metro and British newspapers have been talking about Loreen had to restart because of her protester. It's got what she wanted. It's got people talking about her song and people have gone, oh, Loreen's back and have listened to her song. That's what she needed. I'm not saying she planned it, but it didn't hurt her. Any press is good press. Anything is good as long as she wasn't harmed. And also Malmö Arena, massive dropping the ball there, letting a protester get on your stage. But I know that's controversial and people get upset about it, but it did help her a little bit. Donna, let's come to you about this as well, because obviously everyone's saying this is the song. But obviously in the final, she's not going to just win on having the most votes. There's a demographic jury, or the demographic televote, I should say. And Stuart's raised a good point there. You've got like Marcus and Martinez, you've got Torna, you've got other people who may appreciate their music more, so like the under 16s or the olders. Can Loreen do enough across every age group to win in a field of 12, especially say when you've got a pair of twins that are very much geared to younger audiences, Torna, which as we said last year, is geared to the older audience because of her story, and things like that. And you've got Jon Henrik. It's not going to be easy for her, but everyone seems to think it's a done deal.
No, I don't think it's a done deal yet. I mean, just because she's got some fancy staging does not necessarily mean it's going to win. I mean, it stands out a lot because of the staging. But, oh my God. Well,
sorry, Donna, we will stop coming to you when these comments come off the screen.
It's always James and me. Oh, James. Yeah, have your moments. But yeah, I think she needs to, like Stu said, look at her diction. She needs to work that little bit extra just to really make sure she can seal this, because there are some really strong contenders there. Personally, Smash to Pieces is by far my favourite. Although Air as well is another one that I think out of any of the previous heats was by far the best there. So, you know, if they can really all up it 110%, then she's going to have a fight on her hands, I think. Just because she has a name, she's been before, doesn't necessarily guarantee that you're going to get through again.
No, very good. Things to prove last year proved that in the televote, the bottom three at the end of the vote last year were the three that had gone to Eurovision before, and Robin Benson, Jon Lundvik, and Anna Bergendahl. So it doesn't always guarantee a success if you won the contest before. Let's move off Loreen just for a little bit and say move on to the other three that advanced. We had Smash Into Pieces, which won the demographic televote, beating out Kiana and Mariette, and Mariette only advanced by a single point over Axel Hillström, so it was very close for that last spot. Tom, let's come to you. Did the right three advance to the final and the semi-final last night? Smash Into Pieces, Kiana and Mariette.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know what? I was absolutely cheering on. And it's always nice to see when in my demographic votes the right way, and they voted 12 points for Smash Into Pieces, as did the demographic above. It's always nice to see, you know, when your demographic votes that way. And I thought they thoroughly deserved to go through. That was a brilliant song. Absolutely brilliant song. I really, really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed Mariette's song as well. I wouldn't have been disappointed to see Mariette go through direct to final, and Smash Into Pieces lower down. Kiana, slightly differently. I enjoyed her song. Do not get me wrong. I enjoyed her song. She loved being up there. Absolutely just blew everything away. Amazing, but I thought it lacked something. Perhaps it was just a bit too over enthusiastic, that the song didn't have time to necessarily breathe in itself, if that makes sense. But definitely the right three went through. And I'm going to echo what people have said on Loreen. You know, she went direct to final. We know that. I'll be honest, I don't think the song's all that. I think if the song was sung by another singer, we'd probably be going meh. And one thing I am going to say is lots of people are like, oh, you can't say that. Unfortunately, we have to say some people say those things about Loreen. Yeah. And they say those things and they're like, well, you know, they're going to offer criticism. That's fine. And people are entitled to do that. The disappointing thing is when people get criticised for criticising, when the people that are criticising the criticising are actually guilty of criticising a lot of other things out there as well. Because we're all fans, and we all hand out criticism on a daily basis on a variety of topics. Just because your favourite of the day is getting the criticism, basically you're going to have to take it on the chin, because you'll be dealing it out just as much to someone else later.
Tom, can I just jump in on that point, actually?
Oh, can I just say that I love Tom and he's my favourite.
Yeah, mine too. No, I just want to add, actually, I think that point you just said is so important to remember, because it's about this time that all the Eurovision family across the world starts to go a bit nutty, because we're at the very end of the national season. And what happens is all of our favourites that we've been listening to for weeks and weeks and weeks don't qualify. And we forget that there's a number of other entries that are going to qualify and going to go to Eurovision. And actually, and by the way, cough, cough, Spain last year will do rather well. Yeah. The songs that you didn't really want to go there. Tanksy Geras, Eat Your Heart Out. didn't make it. Chanel did, and look what happened. Chanel's a national treasure. It's exactly the same here. No one on this panel is saying that Loreen doesn't deserve to go to Eurovision. If she does, she will. And it's a great song. But what we're saying is that actually there are some flaws in the performance and the staging, which actually need to be considered, because we're talking about a potential Eurovision winner here. The reason we're debating this so hard is because there's a standard that Loreen we expect from Loreen, right? There's a standard of performance, there's a standard of entry, there's a standard of vocal ability. And I felt last night when I compare, and I think Tanya said it in the chat room beautifully a little while ago, when you listen to the song on Spotify or another streaming device, compare it to how you listened to the song last night live on stage, it's worlds apart. And it's worlds apart because of the way it's performed. No other reason. And that's a choice that Loreen and SVT and Melodifestivalen producers have made to perform that song. And I'm sure, like every other Melodifestivalen act, they'll perform it the same way of Eurovision. It just takes a little bit away from the performance, and that's it. That's okay, and that's acceptable, because that's what we expect to see, because that's performing. That's performance art, and that's what's going to make or break her in Eurovision, should she get there. Back to you, Tom. Sorry. I just wanted to make that point.
No, it's a fair point. And as I said, also, we're very hard on Loreen because of the hype around as well. Whenever a song is very hyped up by fans and people, we are going to look at it very close, because we're going to go, right, what is causing this hysteria? And that's what Loreen has caused this week. It is hysteria. That's the only word to describe it. Like people were saying when they listened to it in the media pen, we need to book Sweden. So obviously I was like, right, I'm going to be harsh on this song, or I'm going to listen carefully, because if this is the winner, there has to be a reason about it. But like I said, she probably might win in 2 weeks' time. And if she doesn't, Sweden will still do very well, because it's been 13 years since they sent a quote-unquote bad song. They've been in the jury top 10, I think, 10 years now, consistently. They will still get a good result. But back to last night, we're going to open up the floor. So obviously, we had 3 songs that also sadly went out, which was ML with Whatever Happened on Stage. It looked fun. I wanted to be part of it. Signy and with Edelweiss, which... I can't listen to that song properly with a song title called Edelweiss, because then I just start thinking about Julie Andrews, and yeah, it was a bit weird. And then also Axel Hillström with his, in my opinion, stunning ballad, Gorgeous, and the story behind it, which made me weep like a little child at points. Just going to open up the floors for anyone now, just to speed this along. What were your thoughts on last night, and did any of the 3 that went home, should they have advanced?
I'm going to jump in and say no. I think the right one went through the right parts. I mean, I thought Axel was, a basic ballad, nice voice, ordinary song. And Emil, it was an off-the-shelf, disco-friendly pop song. There was a lot of...
I like the sequins.
Oh, yeah, it was nice. They weren't terrible. Even Edelweiss, it was no... Yeah, it was no Christopher Plummer and Julie Andrews, but it was all right.
There's one for the youth. Jesus, Phil.
But yeah,
the right people went through.
Yes,
is what
definitely.
is convolutedly sort of trying to say. The right ones won in the right order. Also, I don't care anymore.
David, what do you have to say on the semi-final?
Yes, this was probably the strongest feat out of the 4, so of course. I think Loreen, I think the stage is too elaborate, because you have the true walls, because you said singing layout is very difficult. I understand the stage elevator, where it is, is my, I was pretty upset at what happened, but yeah, the Kiana, fantastic performance. She's very confident for like a 16-year-old. She also, for rookie, she did very well. The rock song deserved to go to the final. I think Sweden doesn't tend to do rock, doesn't tend to love rock, because, Little Sister, 200 Chansons seems to be, but now they seems to be growing on the rock stuff. So that's really enjoyable. Mariette, very capable, again, one of the most capable performers in Melodifestivalen. She can now do go wrong, even though she was not strong yesterday. But you know, Axel surname, I don't know. Sometimes I cannot pronounce surnames right. Very good song and very good performance. I was really impressed by his song. She probably deserved under Johnson, but come on, if you compete in the strongest heat, you could do if he was in a different heat like heat 1 or heat 2, he probably did go down the Johnson. But no, speaking of contenders to win, I don't think Loreen, in my personal opinion, she will batter it up for the win, of course, but it's gonna be difficult because Marcus and Marinus, you have Jon Hendrik, you have names who will fight probably for the televote will be the same. But you know, but we have 4 spots. What's gonna happen in Under Johnson? If someone's gonna come in from Under Johnson and win, it's probably gonna happen. Sometimes Under Johnson comes out of nowhere and picks a winner. It's gonna be interesting to see on the 12th, see if it's going to be that. Depends on the winning order the STV is going to decide. Depends. You know, STV has to understand where they have to choose the winning order detailed perfectly if they want to send the right song in. And that's going to be difficult because we put Wien in, or you put Marcus Marinus in, or you put Hendrik, Arknone and Hendrik in, or you got to put Tone in, or you got to put that. I think it's going to depend on the running order and then the results. On 12th, I think this is going to be tough.
Brilliant, thank you, David. Just one thing I wanted to bring up at Melfest, which is very interesting, which is the demographic voting. So there was 3 acts last night that received the 12s, and they were split pretty much evenly with regard in age category. So the 3 to 9s and 10 to 15s gave it to Kiana, and then from the 16 to 29, 30 to 44, and 45 to 59 gave it to 6 Feet Under. And then when we go into 60s, 60, 74, and 75 plus, gave it to Mariette. So clearly there is an age discrepancy or an age bracket last night at the semi-finals. Stuart, it's coming to you because you don't want to speak on Mariette. She normally goes to the final with no problem, but last night scraped through. And if we look at it quickly, it was the televote with either the 75 plus or the televote that actually gave her that extra point over Axel to get through. Not a bad song from Mariette, but why was it a case that she struggled to just get through?
Oh, I don't think it was a great song. I think it's her weakest song. I actually really love the staging. Usually there's some really dodgy staging going on in Mariette's entries. But I was quite, I think it warmed my heart to see these adults jumping up and sliding down her stage last night. I think it was fantastic. What fun, what larks they are to see them sliding down that stage. No, I think it was a really good entry in terms of staging, but not her best in terms of performance. And I think the truth is, when an artist comes back year after year after year after year, they struggle to retain that level of excitement because you're used to seeing them. You're so used to seeing them. You see the same thing every time. The songs are never that different, very similar, very same. And I think that's her problem. She needs a bit of time away, I think, to come back. Because I think Mariette's a performer that we need to see at Eurovision at some point. I think she's great. Vocal ability is outstanding. But, you know, a bit like Linda Bensing, someone put in the chat, you know, and actually Shirley Clamp, Shirley Clamp, wasn't it? Yeah. Eurovision will pass her by if she's not careful. So you kind of get 4 or 5 tries. I think she's maybe on a 5th or 6th try. You know, the next one she has will be a last. So it's make it a good one, is what I would say. Just a final point on Melodifestivalen, because Gustav raised in the chat that it's not been a stellar year. And I think it's down to how they booked it. Because when I think of the last 2 Melodifestivalen Heats, I think they've been much, much better than Heats 1 and 2. So I asked the question, why put all of the best songs in the final 2 Heats? Why load them with quality and have the first 2 with substandard entries? Why not mix and match? And then you're going to have a far better competition through the 4 weeks. I don't understand it. I think it needs looking at. But overall, it's going to be a very strong final in a couple of weeks' time.
Thank you, sure. Yeah, I think you're right. This is Maliette's 5th attempt. She's running out of tries. Like Sanna Nilsson did it after 7, which I still think is quite remarkable. And Gustav is right. We have had an Andre Johnson winner once, 10 years ago. But we also had Felix come second in 2018, going through Andre Johnson. So it is possible. But obviously next week we have got 8 very solid songs competing for the final spot of 4 spots. And if you don't know, there's no heats, no duels, nothing. 8 songs fighting for 4 spots, the top 4 advance. Something we've been saying on this panel for years should happen. But we'll see what happens next week there. And now I'm going to hop across, still in the Nordics, to Iceland, where Tom is, and he's going to take us through the lovely last 2 weeks of Söngvakeppnin. Over to you, Tom.
Hey, I'm not going to take you through the last 2 weeks. We've got 5 finalists competing to represent Iceland in Liverpool. Now, do you know what? We're going to throw out the irony here, because for weeks I've done the Melfest bit and Elliot has done the other bits. I noticed this week I get the Iceland bit. Have you seen the spelling of some of these? Am I supposed to attempt pronunciation of some of this lot? Crikey. Just as well, the songs are really good. So, in terms of artists, we've got Bragi, Celebs, Dilja, Langi Seli Ogskugania, and Ziga Osk. I've no idea if I've pronounced it correctly. Who cares? But I think we've got a really interesting mix there. I'm going straight to Donna. Donna, out of those 5, who's your favourite?
Oh God, the one that's the cheesy one that's the guilty pleasure, I would say, would be the one that you just probably pronounced. It's the man band, isn't it? It's the rock and roll man band. Look at them, aren't they fabulous? If the Proclaimers had another brother, then they would be there. Absolutely brilliant. It's such a toe tapper and it's so fun, and you just want to bop along with them. And they had a great performance, so I'm glad that one got through. After the others, Bragi. Have we mentioned Bragi?
You are the first one.
Oh, okay. I think a lot of this one for me is very Melfest. I mean, but at the same time, he looks like Tom Hugo. It'll appeal to quite a few that would normally be Melfest followers, I think, and it's a solid pop song. I quite like it. He sings well. He performs well. Who else? Who's that lady who looks like Kylie Minogue from the 90s? What's her name? Oh, is it Kristen? No, Siga. That's her. She's. Oh yeah, there she is. Look at her. That's 90s fabulous.
Pop High School Musical.
Yep.
Tribute.
Absolutely. It's a lot of fun, a lot of silly nonsense, but she performs that well as well. So those 3 are my faves so far.
I was going to say, unsurprisingly, that one is my favourite.
Yay.
Who'd have ever thought that one?
But she's solidly set it in the 90s, hasn't she, really? She's not apologetic about bringing the 90s back there.
Why not? The 90s were a great decade. They were a fabulous decade. Let's go to Phil and Michelle. Come on, there's something for everyone in this, whether it be a bit of jazz, whether it be a bit of rap, whether it be a ballad, whether it be some 90s. You've got to have at least a couple of favourites there, you two.
Oh, yeah, I like Langy Silly, was it? The OK song?
The Stray Cats song.
Yeah, a bit of rockabilly.
There's one for you.
Yeah, I loved it. That was my favourite of the night, I think.
The intro to that was so long. I was sort of maybe convinced it could be an instrumental. And I thought, that's brave. But then it kicked in and it was all right. So.
Bragi, that was a nice sort of piano ballad, but it was okay. The thing that struck me about the tune was I felt I could hum along to it, even though I'd never heard it before.
I've heard it 1,000 times.
It was just a little
before.
bit, predictable melody. And Sigur, it was just a bit safe.
It was a basic dance track. Is
It
what
was
you're
all right.
looking for,
It was nice. It was safe. It was okay, but yeah.
Middle of the road.
And
DJ?
Dilja,
Dilja, is it? I can't say. I've got my glasses on.
I didn't like this, and I'm not sure why.
Why was she lay on the floor? What was going on?
Yeah, it was. I don't know.
I didn't understand.
I just kind of didn't like it, but I couldn't explain why I didn't like it. It's odd,
Why was
really.
she singing in the dark as well? It's like, for the first, somebody had not turned the spotlight on a few of them, and they were just sort of just singing in the dark. It was weird and a bit creepy.
And celebs. Well, yeah, that was quite fun, wasn't it?
Right. Oh, I shall read you yet again
Okay.
from my book of poetry that I have. What the fuck is going on here? Mother and son? Is it? Lovers? No, I don't know. It's delightfully all over the place. It's about 4 songs in one. Obviously, I bloody love it, but I've no idea what's going on.
The thing I thought was, it was like the Eurovision movie with Will Ferrell in real life. You know, I mean, they weren't the best singers, but they were enjoying themselves.
Is it mother and son?
No idea.
I'm
No
slightly
idea.
obsessed with what's going on in that
But-
relationship.
Yeah, it was fun. I don't know.
I thought it was brilliant. If that doesn't win, well,
No.
Iceland are going to send some rubbish if that doesn't win.
If that doesn't win, I hope it's okay. The Rockabilly one.
Oh yeah, that one.
I think for me the interesting thing is I don't think there's anything there where I would say they've gone for the same thing that they did last year, because last year's song was very sweet and very delicate, I thought.
Yeah.
And whereas this year they've kind of gone totally from the other way
That's
onto
not a bad
something
thing, though.
totally different. And that's music, I suppose, at the end of the day. David, what about your thoughts on Iceland? Oh, you're on mute though, David.
Oh, I didn't listen to your question. Can you?
I said,
is Ice-
what are your thoughts on Iceland?
I tried to watch Iceland yesterday and last week. The streams are quiet. I tried to watch Iceland, but the live stream audio quality are not okay, not very high. So if it's over, put whatever is next to it. But yeah, Iceland, I watched some of the finalists, only the finalists before the show. Yeah, very interesting national selection. Iceland always has, because I never tend to heard the songs before. Yeah, seems to be very open. I know. I think I love the OK song is very Elvis Presley. Goes to that era of like 50s, the beginnings of rock and roll, the blues. That's their era. You know, we have Sika Osk, which is a fantastic dance song, and then we have, which seems to be the big favorite, is the Dalia, which is
I can't
this is
pronounce
a
it
bit-
either.
Icelandic stuff, and then you have, of course, with celebs and Bragi. It's gonna be. I don't have a favorite right now, but it's gonna be a good final, I think.
It's going to be a tough choice, isn't it? Let's go to Stu. Stu, Iceland. What do you reckon? I'd really love to hear your opinion. I reckon I can't help but feel you'd be great dressed up as Zigga Osk.
I don't know what's going on in Iceland, to be perfectly honest. It's like basically the 1990s have called and they want their everything back. I don't know what's going on in Iceland, to be perfectly honest with you. You've got like, I just don't know. I just feel like something's gone very, very wrong in Iceland this year. Everything they were wearing on stage was from the 1990s. From Zigga to is it Dildo? Dilda? I can't remember her name. But either way,
Dilja.
thank you very
I think
much.
it's Delia, isn't it? Delia.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Look, I managed to save an image. You have to see this. You have. Where is it? There we go. It's a trouser suit in 2023. What's going on in Iceland right now? I don't know. I find it all very, very confusing. If I was sending a song, because there's only 5 left, I would say it has to be has to be the 1960s swing rockers. I just think it's about time we have some diversity from Iceland. Last year's song from Sister was outstanding. Loved it. One of my favourites. We're getting nothing like that this year. Please send OK to Eurovision Iceland. It's going to be so much fun. That's all I have to say.
So you think everything is okay? Rockabilly and yeehaw.
Ish.
What about Elliot?
Please, Iceland, don't, because it just reminds me of Kettle Stockhand's song saying "My life is okay," and I never want anything to remind me of that mess. No, no. I'm sorry, we can't. I mean, it probably will, because they're a huge band and they've been around since the 80s, so it probably will. If Croatia's anything to go by. With Delia, that is my favourite of the 5, and Zigga is a close second after they eliminated what's it called? Who sang it? The ballad from last night, Kristin. After they got rid of their best chance to make the final and get a top 10, which is ridiculous, and then didn't even give her the sodding wild card. It's like, right, okay, Iceland, you just don't care, clearly. Delia and Zigga are my top 2. Now, Delia's song in English translates to power, which I think is the whole point of the staging of it going dark and then coming into light. I don't know. She may just be a bit cheap and not wanting to pay the electric for the lighting. I'm not sure. But it's quite good. It's quite interesting. It's quite modern. Zigga, yeah, it's just pure 80s, 90s cheese, but I don't mind a bit of that. It's a bit harmless. It's a bit sweet. It's great fun. The old men, yeah, I said about let's not send them. Braggy, it's all right, but as you said, someone mentioned it about being a Melfest song, but like he resides in Sweden at part time, and this song was co-wrote by Joy Deb, so it's got a very influential Swedish name on the track. So I think that's why it's such like a box tick of a song. Now, celebs, who knows what that is? The song translates to Doomsday Dancing, and I think that explains the tinsel trousers and then like the red dancing shrugs in the background. It's very high camp. I have no idea what's going on. Someone said it reminded me of Daughters of Reykjavik, and it's like, no, that's still slightly more cohesive than this. But the thing is, I actually really like the melody of the song. It reminds me of like a bit of Scissor Sisters or something in that era. Like, it definitely reminds me of something which I really enjoy. What's happening on stage though, fuck knows. And if they do somehow win and go to Liverpool, that dressing room and that wardrobe is just going to be a Christmas tree explosion. I'm sorry, but yeah, it's just like tinsel trousers and then on the sleeve and then just like, who knows what's going on? Because I don't. But at the same time, I don't want to know. It's like, yeah, okay, this is Iceland. But yeah, I do think ultimately in the competitive sense, they did eliminate their best song last night in Kristin, and the fact she didn't even get awarded a wild card did surprise me, because I thought that was the obvious wild card choice if she didn't advance in any format, because I thought it's a stunning ballad and it did have a good chance of doing well at Eurovision. But not to be, we move on. But yeah, I think I'd have to pick Delia or Sigga next week.
Always the way. Do you know what? The one thing I think of when we see all these songs that we don't like, that we do like, kind of getting knocked out, is I think to myself, well, all these second chance contests, it gives us even more to fight about come October time. Now, guys, can I have from you the one song you would like to see Iceland send to Eurovision from their final 5? Let's start with David. One song.
No, it's gonna be tough, but I'm going to say Langi Steady and Skumiagir with OK. I think we need some retro something.
Awesome. You're going with OK. Donna.
Okay. I know a lot of people are going to say okay, so I'm going to big up Stiga.
Hey, so you're going for... Do you want to try and pronounce her song title for us?
Okay, I'll give it a go. Glimmerpe or Dancing. Dancer. Glimmerpe or Dancer. Something like that.
Awesome. Phil and Michelle.
Celebs.
Jan, sort of torn with that, celebs or language. I'm going to go with OK, the Rockabilly one.
No, it's celebs.
Okay, so we got celebs and we got OK. Stu?
Yeah, I'll go okay as well. To be honest, it's not a great selection from Iceland this year. They'd be very, very lucky if they managed to find themselves in the grand final, sadly, because I love Iceland. I'd love Iceland to win, but it ain't going to be 2023.
Oh, and Elliot.
I'm going to go with Dilia and Power. It is my favourite song, and I think it's the most one to make them stand out in that semi-final.
And I'm going for Sigga as well, but basically it does mean that the panel have said by 3 votes to 2 to 1 to 1 that they think OK should be representing Iceland in Liverpool.
Shock horror, I'm the one.
Yeah,
Nobody's surprised.
No, but come on. Michelle was also a 1. She picked celebs as well. So you're a 1 with company. And that brings us to a close. Elliot, round everything up for me.
Yes, so obviously we've had a few things happen in Eurovision land this week. As always, so obviously last night we had 2 national selections come to a close, which we'll talk in further detail when we come to our song reviews. Firstly, UMK came to a close, and Karlia, that's how you say his name. Karlia has won with Cha Cha Cha, with the most bonkers batshit staging I think we've ever seen. Won the jury, and then an absolute landslide in the televote, taking 52.9% of the vote, which translated to 467 televote points. Basically, he won at the moment he finished. San Marino had finished their marathon selection this week, and it's gone to PK Jax with Like an Animal. I will just let you look at those lyrics and enjoy that song yourself. It's an experience, that's all I'm going to say. And within the last few hours, Poland has selected their song for Eurovision, and they have gone with Blanca with the song Solo. And no, it is not the same song, the same Blanca Paloma, but I do think that is slightly fun, even though I have 2 Blancas at Eurovision. But that seems the majority of what's happened this week. Again, it's been very quiet. We did also have the hosts announced for Eurovision. Seems to be like a small group of them. Like there seems to be 4 main ones, and then Timor's involved in Melgedroich, but it's not fully confirmed how they are, and Rylan. It's a bit of confusion, but the hosts were announced. And I think that was everything, to be fair. It's been a very quiet week, but next week and the week after, it's going to get busy with all the internal selections being announced as well.
I was going to say, deadline day is fast approaching.
Yeah,
and
I do believe we've got...
have until the 12th of March.
Yeah, I do believe it's been confirmed the Netherlands are releasing their song on Wednesday, and Cyprus is releasing theirs on Thursday. And Cyprus did release a 30-second teaser the other day of their song as well. So they're slowly going to start creeping out now.
Well, you say slowly, I've got a feeling there's a tsunami coming. A tsunami of music heading our way. As I think there's about 17 internally selected songs, which basically translates as being, that's got to be more than 1 a day between now and the deadline. So I think we're in for quite a ride, which is great because it will give us lots to talk about, especially when we're back here next Sunday at 8 p.m. GMT, 9 p.m. Central European Time. Obviously, we'll be discussing Melfest and the results of Andra Chanson. Will the right ones get through? Plus any other Eurovision news that happens throughout the week, and the national finals that are happening next weekend as well. It is all going on. In the meantime, I'd like to say a massive thank you to the panel. Big thanks to David.
Thanks very much for having me, and I can't wait for next week.
Awesome. Big thanks to Donna.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's been a pleasure as always, and hopefully I'll see you soon.
Hey, big thanks to Phil and Michelle.
Yeah, thanks again. It's been great.
I sort of feel like I'm in some sort of weird cult and I can't get out.
Stuck in a moment that you can't get out of. Big thanks to Stu. Welcome back to the Madhouse, mate.
Thanks for having me back. And like James in the chat, I'm off to buy myself a comb and bring a net for Phil and Michelle's next week's show. It's been great. I've really enjoyed it.
Hey. And as always, big thanks to my co-host, the lovely Elliot.
Thank you, guys. I forgot to mention as well, Australia obviously released their song. We have a lot of Aussies listening. Voyager, the televote winners from last year, have released competing with the song Promise. Great for them because they've been desperate to do it since Australia's been in Eurovision. So I'm happy for them as well. But yes, cheers, guys. I will look forward to turning 30 on Wednesday and moving into a new voting demographic for Melodifestivalen. So I have a different set of votes to get angry about when they don't agree with me. But until then, unless I haven't crumbled into dust by next Saturday, I'll see you then.
Hey! Thanks to everyone. We'll be seeing you next week. Thanks for joining in at home on the chat room as well. Let's hope Stu's queuing up the videos because I'm relying on him to queue up the closing sequence. Great to have you back, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.